You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver. What the hell is that? Podcast.
Oh, God. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast. I'm just recuperating the old lungs and throat box after a fun-filled Saturday night, coming off a great independent wrestling show. And by God, as I was telling one of my cohorts before the show, I have not been that much sports entertained in a very long time. I would much rather go to an IWC show than watch any of the corporate-produced national, international bullshit wrestling that's on television these days. That's how amazingly good it was. Ladies and gentlemen, how y'all doing? I'm Alec Ransom, not healing up at all on the old ICWs because honestly, there's nothing to heal up on. It was friggin' fantastic. The P3 crew was in full force there. And speaking of P3 crew and full force, Beef the Legend is also here.
Wow, like you're in a great mood. We should take you to IWC more often.
Yeah, I don't know that I've been this happy doing one of these podcasts in a long time talking about wrestling because it's usually downers and then nothing but making me angry. But good Lord, I have nothing but great things to say about IWC.
Also, hashtag era of Argos. Praise
Indeed. Speaking of champs, ours isn't here, so let's go ahead and go straight over to our eye in the sky. That would be Mr. Tiger Blonde Tom.
What's going on? I think that may have been the nicest introduction that you've ever given Beef the Legend. I'm kind of in shock.
I'm telling you, I have nothing bad to say about anybody tonight. Not about Beef, not about Poot. I have nothing bad to say about our listeners, whether they don't pay us $49.99. I have nothing bad to say about anybody. I am riding the IWC high still.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped and pretty ecstatic at the boss. Excuse me. Yeah. Rabble. No, I'm definitely excited at the possibility of even getting to just sit down and talk and pick a few of the people's brains and anything. We've gotten a few of the guys to follow. We've gotten one to follow me on Instagram. We've gotten the champ Jackson Argos to
the champ
Jackson
Argos.
Whoa, easy.
The IWC heavyweight champion Jackson Argos to follow us on the Instagram. So let's hope that he also picks up a listen to the podcast soon. That'd be awesome.
Hey, speaking of listening to the podcast, Beef, for the two people that do listen to the podcast, why don't you tell them about our sponsors?
I'd love to. So hey, you two. We definitely want to thank the usual crew here. Sean Tischler has done really brought together a great show in Clearfield this past Saturday. If you missed it, I know that I think IWC does have like a streaming service available, so you can probably check it out on that. But to say that you missed a great show is not really being fair because you can hear it in Ransom's voice, man. Like indie shows are a different animal, man, and they are awesome. And so Sean Tischler is largely responsible for having IWC in that area. So props to him for that, man. And we definitely want to thank him and. We want to already start promoting the next IWC event in Clearfield, which is going to be in April. The dates are to be determined, but definitely keep your eyes and ears glued to the podcast. For that, we will give you information as we get it from Mr. Tischler. And then obviously we definitely want to thank our wonderful sponsor and our wonderful friend, Mr. Casual Gaming Dad himself, Tiger.
Uppercut.
Bomb Tom. He does a great job over there. He's in the... doing the Retro Gaming League. Did you do Bart versus the Space Mutants yesterday or is that today? Or did I miss it?
Neither. No, and neither. It's gonna be an early Friday morning one. So grab your cups of coffee and watch me fail miserably.
Oh man, what a hard game! Like Bart versus the World was really fun and I loved it, but it was not near as hard as Bart versus the Space Mutants. That was ridiculously hard. So good luck, man. But yeah, I mean,
Thanks.
give him a like, give him a follow, subscribe to him there. You can also catch him on Twitch. Casual Gaming Dad 85?
84.
84. Damn, so close.
So close.
But
You'll
yeah,
get there.
you can catch him there as well. And yeah, I mean, like especially right now with the Retro Gaming League in full swing. This is. Go ahead.
And also, not taking the retro stuff, but also in the throes of my current playthrough on Resident Evil 2 Remake. My God, I had so many butt clench moments last night, and I think I may have peed a little whenever Mr. X was chasing me around. I love the Resident Evil series, and I love Resident Evil 2. It's probably one of my favorite ones, and there's not much that really scares me anymore in the way of games or things or movies like that. I literally had anxiety playing that game. I'm just like, I could, like, you hear him thumping around in the police station and you can't kill him. So you just literally have to play a little cat and mouse game. You're like, all right, I got to run into this room and the next one and kind of lose them around the next hallway while avoiding zombies and lickers that rip your face off. So yeah, you hear him coming and you just hear thump, thump, thump. And I'm like, oh no, I don't wanna. It's, God, it's gut wrenching.
Tis the spoopy season and quite the spoopy title. Is that the PlayStation remaster that you're on?
Yeah, PS4.
Yeah, so all the spoopy high graphics get you, man. I'm
telling you. He came out and I ran around the corner of I ran around the corner of this like upper balcony area in the police station, like up on the third floor. Didn't hear anything or whatever. I run around the corner and literally like had a zombie like biting my face off, and I'm like, I got a jump scare out of that one. So yeah, that was fun.
Nice. So
it's the season to be spoopy.
Exactly. That's the kind of excitement you can expect on a just a random casual gaming dad day. So go like the page, and I definitely want to thank Gold Gaming for what they have done on his page and for helping us out with our shirts and putting our shirt up on his page. So yes, if you are a fan and if you saw our sweet ass T-shirts at the show on Saturday, hop on over to Casual Gaming Dad's page on Gold Gaming and buy yourself one of them sweet ass T-shirts. We don't care what you do with it, but you can buy one.
Just buy it. Now look, I know you thanked him in the sponsor there thing, but I really want to give a special shout out to Sean Tischler. Well done, sir. Sponsor or not, you put on, you and IWC put on one hell of a show there in Clearfield. That was and I believe Tiger Bomb Tom's first independent wrestling experience.
Yep, sure
and
was.
By no means did it come anywhere close to disappointing.
No,
it was everything that I hoped for and more. It was like I said earlier. I could gush on it all night. I was more sports entertained by that than I have been in the past few years of watching wrestling on TV.
And here's the thing with that too. Like, it goes to show you that, and let's we'll be real and we'll be fair here. Mm-hmm. Obviously, when you go to an independent show, you're not in a 10,000 plus seat arena or anything like that. I think the total number of people there, I think Sean was posted something up about it, was like probably like in the upper 200s, close to 300. So like I think 275, which is a hell of a turnout for an independent wrestling, definitely. So when you hear wrestlers before, like when you've heard Daniel Bryan when he was when he talked about like he's like, if I can't wrestle here, I'll go back and wrestle in bingo halls and high school gyms and stuff like that. And you hear wrestlers talking about working for a hot dog and a handshake. Like, it's not far from the truth at all. And I'll tell you what, man, like, it's the atmosphere there. It's a more intimate atmosphere. And, you just heel or face, man, the wrestlers were like right there. And you get to slap hands with them. You get to, who was it? Lebanon Dawn
Lebanon Dawn came and sat directly in front of us.
What,
took some
what
selfies
a
with
fun
us.
dude.
Yeah,
What
like
a fun dude.
that was so awesome. And and even though he's a heel, I'm just like, hey man, you mind if I grab a picture? He's like, sure. And like, and he no sold any sort of reaction or anything like that. He wasn't all thumbs up or anything. But I mean, like, and then I real quick, I got to gush over Jackson Argos again. Like when we met him, we're like, hey, can we get a group picture? He's like, yeah, sure. And we all said to him, like, hey, yeah, great match tonight. You did awesome job. He's like, thanks. I'm a fan of me too. I love it. I love him kind of keeping the kayfabe.
Oh,
stuff,
in character completely the whole time.
Yeah,
and
so,
he was awesome.
But
it really was.
It just goes to show you don't need a huge production value. Like, yeah, we saw, I saw a super kick that didn't connect to somebody or whatever because I'm like front row, 50 feet away from the ring. It's a lot easier to see that than it is on TV. But you still see spots on TV on a bigger production like a WWE or an AEW that, don't fully connect or that, whatever. But that happens. And regardless, this is the place where people are cutting their chops. We're talking to the owner, Justin Plummer. He's the one that manages IWC in general. And he had told us to definitely come down to see them in Elizabeth, PA, which I think we're going to try to do that. He said like that IWC is a pretty reputable independent company that a lot of people
100%.
come through, like Gargano, Keith Lee, lots of others that are now in NXT. People that have recently this year got signed to sign into like Ring of Honor and Impact and stuff like that. I mean,
well, and I mean, even the Super Indy title, like, I mean, the IWC still does, or the IWC still does the Super Indy tournament every summer, and it brings together like some of the Northeast's best independent workers. Dr. Britt Baker, star of AEW and hopefully future AEW Women's Champion, was in this year's card, as I believe Joey Ryan was. So I mean, like, and I mean, like the India, the lineage of the Super Indy, it goes back quite a ways. So like, yes, they have the Super Indy title, but the Super Indy tournament as well. So yeah, I mean, it's we really can't say enough about how great it was.
Yep.
So, speaking of lineage, and I know we don't often like not script, but like run down the show here. But I really would like to save the IWC stuff for last, since
Absolutely.
It was really, really. I have the most to say about that, and it's the most positive thing I've said about wrestling for a long time.
Ransom, you read my mind, because I was going to say we do have other stuff to get to, and not all of it's good, but we can bring it back to on a happy note again and end with
I would
just the same way we started. We opened up the show with IWC, and we can definitely close the show with IWC.
Yeah. So listen, speaking of lineage, like Beef had mentioned, Beef, are you still here?
I am. Yeah, man.
Okay, I didn't know. I thought I heard you cut out. I wasn't sure if you dropped or not. But look, speaking of lineage. Some news that just happened today in the more depressing world of professional sports entertainment wrestling, the WWE. Bischoff out, Brother Love in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's depressing.
No, I mean like WWE in general, depressing.
Oh yeah.
Nothing to do with Bruce Pritchard. I think Bruce Pritchard is a wealth of knowledge and can do well.
I don't, here's the thing with Bischoff, man. Like, the whole time, it felt like he just never started the car. Like, it felt like he got, it's like you're going to buy a used car. You sit in the seat, you play with the buttons, and you're like, okay. And, like, the salesman's like, so you want to take it for a spin? You're like, well, I don't know. Like, Bischoff just never really did anything. There was never any real impact that he did. And it just, maybe it just wasn't a good fit. Who knows? But yeah, I feel like the era of Bischoff came and went in SmackDown, and well, we'll never talk about it again.
I mean, I'm all for whether it's Bruce Pritchard or anybody, as long as somebody wants to be there and has the passion for that position. That's the biggest thing to me. Like Paul Heyman being in charge of Raw, you can Paul Heyman still wants to be there and still involved in the business and stuff. And he has a great mind for it. And regardless of who's in charge of what show or anything like that, I want somebody who's there because they want to do the best job that they can for that position. And from all accounts of what we were hearing about Bischoff, just kind of like you said, not really starting the car, not really putting it in gear and pulling out, and starting that drive. Giggity. It's just, giggity. Just, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm just, if best of luck to him, and hopefully he finds something, whatever it is that he wants to do, whatever he's passionate about. If it's sitting on his butt collecting royalty checks or whatever, or this and that, good on him. And if it's something completely opposite on the spectrum of the position that he would have had here with SmackDown and and WWE and everything, then good on him too.
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for the future of SmackDown with Pritchard in there, and I'll tell you why. I don't know the relationship between Bischoff and Vince McMahon. I don't know how close they are. I don't know how comfortable Bischoff is with Vince. That's an unknown to me. But it's again, I guess I don't know the real close relationship between Vince and Pritchard because I don't know either one of them personally. But Bruce Pritchard had been with WWE off and on for a long, long time. He's done a lot with that company, and I feel like maybe with Pritchard in there, he knows how to deal with Vince. He knows what Vince McMahon's like. He's worked with him for a very long time. He was one of the guys who used to sit around Vince McMahon's pool, writing wrestling shows, writing Raws, writing pay-per-views. So I feel like maybe with Pritchard in there, he knows how to handle Vince a little bit better maybe than Bischoff did. So maybe if there is a bad idea, like, hey, we're going to put Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins in a Hell in a Cell match, and we're going to have it end in a rush stoppage. Maybe if Pritchard was there, Pritchard would be able to say, well, maybe we shouldn't do that. And let me list you a few reasons why we shouldn't do it. I don't know if that's going to go that way, but I'm hopeful. Right.
To piggyback off of that, speaking of Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins, oh God, I don't even know. I don't even know where to begin. So I'm just going to try to start and see where this brain vomit leaks into my mouth hole and becomes word vomit. So
do it.
All right. So Hell in a Cell, has come and gone. We've seen that. Obviously, we all know the fallout of that. And and then you have the first night of the draft on Fox. And what happens? Woo! Motor City Machine Guns.
So pardon me, I had Mexican for dinner.
Yeah.
It's my bad. It's my bad.
Olé. So we see Bray Wyatt get drafted to SmackDown, which immediately, number one, my first thought is, Fox, keep your grubby fucking hands off of Bray Wyatt. You're gonna ruin him, because what Fox wants, Fox gets, and I have a feeling that they're gonna have a lot of heavier influence in the SmackDown show than what anything like USA has ever had on Raw, which I don't think they've had much, if any, at all. I don't know, except for maybe the 24/7 title.
No,
and that's definitely something that I wanted to kind of mention while talking about Bruce's SmackDown is we all talk about how you're always going to be second fiddle to Vince McMahon regardless, but now you're third fiddle to Vince McMahon, who's a fiddle to the network. So basically, you're a master to two bosses, and I right now I just think that SmackDown is not a good destination for anybody creatively. But I digress. Go ahead, Tom.
So that happens. Okay, now.
So Bray is officially drafted to SmackDown. Sorry to cut in, but I just want to clarify.
As of right now. Now I heard there's something about there was the show that Renee and Booker T are on, whatever it is, Backstage or whatever on FS1. Apparently there was an episode going on tonight. I don't know what time. I don't even know if I get FS1. I don't care. Supposedly, I don't know if it was just for superstars that were undrafted, or if it was people that were already drafted, that there apparently were trades that maybe could be made. Now, here's my thought. And this is going to tie into something else too with Seth Rollins, which, brace yourselves for that. I'm going to shit all over him.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. So you have Bray on SmackDown, you have Seth on Raw, and then they're going to have a match at Crown Jewel for the Universal title. So now not only did you get yourselves put into a creative corner whenever you pushed Bray too quickly, too soon for the Universal title at Hell in a Cell, and then you fucked it up with a fucky ref stoppage finish. But now you're going to put them in a Falls Count Anywhere match in Crown Jewel. How the fuck is that any different? Besides, obviously, the final rule of having to get the pinfall or submission in the Hell in a Cell in the ring. How's that any different? How am I supposed to expect anything different and not a fucky finish from that?
Is that match official?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I mean, card subject always to change, but still, it was made, and it was made after the fact of the draft. Just
remember, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, they took Roman and Brock overseas and had Roman win that cage match to get the title off of Brock and get put on Roman somewhere that was not in America, so they didn't have the crowd shit all over it. I am willing to bet good money that you're going to see the same thing. They're going to, do some fucking shit with The Fiend and Rollins, and that is going to be that. Like, the fans over in Kazakhstan, Kuwait, Turkey City, I don't fucking care. Like, the fans over there are not going to give two fucks because they're going to be fucking sitting on the big fucking leather couches, fucking 5 rows deep. Not giving two fucks because to them, and I'm sorry, this is kind of a rant. To them, this is nothing. This is not like they still think that fucking like Macho Man and Andre the Giant are great superstars. They don't give a fuck about wrestling. This to them is a social event. This to them is saying, hey, look, rest of the world, we are progressive and we are, big name too. Like, you can trust us and you can come and spend your tourist money here. This is nothing more than a fucking badge of honor for them. It means fucking zero, and that's why those events that go over there mean fucking zero to anybody else.
I got two things to say to that. One, you want to talk about progressive? Show me whenever they actually put a women's match on. Fuck you.
Right.
And two, in regards to that match, man, leading up to it, okay. This is a little bit of a. I don't have something cool to call it, like a legendary letdown. Maybe I can call it the Tiger Bomb, dropping the bomb. I don't know, dropping a Tiger Bomb, fucking whatever. In any case, Seth Rollins, man, his fucking promo work is bullshit right now, and let me tell you why. Oh yeah. Oh, get ready, strap in for this. Now, I'm not taking anything away from his in-ring work. Seth Rollins' in-ring work is always, upper tier, top notch. Like in-ring wise, I don't think I've ever seen Seth have a bad match, and I think I would challenge the other two of you to prove me wrong otherwise. But but on the mic, man, he is like so fucking babyface generic, like bullshit cookie cutter promos that aren't doing shit for me. And here's the perfect example. So Hell in a Cell happens. And at the end of Hell in a Cell, Seth Rollins was left spitting up his own blood or whatever. Okay. Now, he didn't show up on last week's Monday Night Raw. He didn't show up, which was fine. I had no problem with that because it helps further drive the point home of how vicious the Hell in a Cell match was, and that Bray Wyatt is a fucking monster. So then SmackDown happens with the first night of the draft, and, Seth and Roman have their match, and it, ends up coming into, the Fiend popping out from underneath the ring and quote unquote trying to drag Seth to hell, which he escapes out of. So you've had this Hell in a Cell match. You've had Bray Wyatt show up and literally like try to drag you down through the ring. Now, last night happens on Monday Night Raw. And when we get to Seth, the first thing you hear is, "Hey, Chuck, it's a great day." Wait, really? Why is that? because it's the draft night and we're here in Denver. Woo! Cheap crowd pop. Fuck you, dude. Are you serious? That shit happens, and you're gonna come out all smiles and tell me it's a great day. You're fucking. You know, I know wrestling's fake. Oh, spoiler alert. But Jesus Christ, give me some sort of believability. Like, get the fuck out of here. And then he wants to, then he has the part of the promo. And you go back and listen to some of his more recent promos, and they follow this formulaic thing. Smiley face, cheap crowd pop. Then he's going to get serious, and his voice will drop. He's going to start talking about how maybe he's doing this all wrong. He just wanted to move on with his life, but now maybe he's going to go fiend hunting. And then, of course, end it with inserting the tag phrase, burn it down. I hate it. I fucking hate it. I'd rather have Seth as a swarmy fucking shit-eating heel than this bullshit that he's doing now. Or somebody needs to fucking give him a better promo to do. Or he needs to do a better job of whatever. I don't know. Somehow there is a fucking disconnect there because it's just like
they have ruined him.
It sucks.
100%. The WWE, Vince McMahon, is 100% responsible for breaking Seth Rollins. Earlier this year, dude was getting massive pops. The burn it down, and I mean, people still chant to burn it down because people are sheep. They like to chant things all together. But
well, that's not wrong and guilty as
charged. I mean, it's exactly. Like it's a mob mentality. But he was getting huge pops, and people were saying that he was the best in the world. He had a couple of string of matches there earlier this year, which really stood out to a lot of people and said, wow, man, Seth Rollins may be the best that we've seen in years. And because of, and this is 100% on Vince and on piss poor match planning, because you have Corbin over the summer, which was fucking dull as hell. Like there's not even a better way to describe it. It was dull. Like it could have been one match and done, but they strung it out over the course of like 2 or 3 pay-per-view matches. And then you put him up against the hottest fucking heel, quote unquote, in wrestling today, The Fiend. What the fuck did you expect was going to happen? Vince clearly had dollar signs in his eyes and abandoned his previous plan with Seth Rollins, which wasn't doing him any favors, but it certainly wasn't going to lead to this. To now, Seth is being booed all over the place. This guy is supposed to be the face of your company. This guy who people earlier this year were calling the best in wrestling today is now just reduced to a guy who is getting heat that you don't want him to get, that you're keeping him off TV weeks so that he can avoid heat. It is fucking abysmal what they've done to him.
Yeah.
Let me play devil's advocate on Seth Rollins here for a second.
Go for
it. We've seen it before, and if you hearken back to John Moxley's interview with Jericho, his hands were tied when it came to promos. He had to do some doofy ass promos thanks to Vince McMahon. I mean, if you go back and listen to it, we've all talked about it, but for those who maybe didn't listen to our episode or didn't listen to that one podcast that
shame on
Moxley did with Jericho. He even said he got a memo from Vince himself saying Dean Ambrose will not, talk this. Dean Ambrose will read will read from the script verbatim. Dean Ambrose will not, go off and ad-lib or talk for himself. So while Seth Rollins' promos might be hot garbage, how much of that is Seth Rollins going out there and trying to do a face promo, for himself? Versus how much of that is him going out there because Vince is saying, I want you to say this, I want you to say this, I want you to say that. Doesn't matter what the crowd says, you stick to this script. You read it verbatim, you go out there and do it.
My only...
So, hold on.
Okay.
So that might be, it might not be him, it might be Vince. But to hearken back to what Beef said, we've seen this WWE playbook so many times before. John Cena, he was the hottest up-and-coming thing. When he was United States champion doing the Thug Life thing, people loved him. They could not get enough of John Cena. They wanted to see him in the worst way beat JBL for that title. And they cheered him when he did. They went nuts. Not a single person booed him. There was no, let's go Cena, Cena sucks. It was, full bore 100% behind Cena, and then they ruined him. Same thing with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns came out of the Shield as the fan favorite, the crowd pleaser. People wanted to see Roman Reigns. When he got in the ring and did the ooh-ah, everybody did it. Everybody. There wasn't this Roman sucks. When his music hit, there weren't boos. People loved him, and they ruined it. Now it's the same playbook with Seth Rollins. He's the hottest thing ever. He was on fire. People were loving him, and now he's coming out doing the corporate thing that Vince wants him to do, and he's getting booed. So Cena, Reigns, Rollins. There's a pattern.
Well, I agree with you, and that's largely in part, and doesn't matter who it is. When you have somebody, when you have a superstar, and they don't get over organically with the crowd, and it's forced, or even if a promo feels forced, like fans are going to pick up on that. And my only point of contention with, I get it, and I agree. Ultimately, Vince has the final say. But for as much as we were shitting all over WWE when we first started up this podcast, back in the summer and early, like late spring, early summer, I think you would have to agree with me that once they, had mentioned about Heyman and Bischoff taking over the TV, being in charge of TV or whatever on the weekly shows and having a lot more influence, I would think that Heyman would, have a little bit of sway to say, hey, these promos feel like they're falling a little flat. How about we do something and deviate a little bit? But I don't know. Maybe Vince is in full on just tunnel vision mode right now with everything that's going on, with Fox and stuff. Although one could argue that would make it easier for Heyman to do this stuff and be able to have a little leeway because Vince is so focused with the stuff with Fox and the Crown Jewel event coming up and fucking XFL and whatever else.
I have to believe that's it, though. I have to believe that. Oh, I'm sorry, we've got.
I was going to say, if nothing else, man, like even if Heyman's saying you still got to do scripted promos, you have the guy that has the best mind for the business that we've seen in the past 25, 30 years. Paul Heyman. Like, you're telling me that he can't get some, like, energy into some promos? That's bullshit, man. Paul Heyman can write, and, it's so, it definitely feels like a hack job from Vince, 100%. But, I mean, I feel like a lot of it's coming not necessarily from Paul, and I feel like Heyman could do a better job of it, but it's just, like, Seth is that character has jumped the shark for me, and I'll never view Seth Rollins the same way ever again.
Well,
I want to disagree a little bit there with you, Beef. Like I mean, I don't know. I have to disagree because the promos Seth Rollins has given out, they don't sound like Paul Heyman's promos. They don't sound like anything that people used to do in ECW. And no, I know WWE is not ECW. Like, I get that. I understand. But at the same token, that doesn't sound like Paul Heyman words. Those sound like Vince McMahon words. And it goes back to my previous point. Cena and Roman Reigns.
And
Seth Rollins is doing exactly what they did. And Vince McMahon was in charge of that. So this really sounds like, maybe, I don't know what goes through that man's head. But, maybe it was this idea of like, well, we're going to bring in Heyman, we're going to bring in Bischoff, we're going to give them, some control over this kind of stuff, and we're going to, let them do this. And Vince McMahon still has the final say, but he's going to be a little bit more hands-off. He's going to let these guys do a little bit more. But I think Vince is one of those guys where it's like he cannot give up that control. And whether it's, I want it to be my way, or it's something compulsory within him where he cannot let it go. He can't relinquish that. But it really just seems like it has Vince McMahon written all over it, and he's just hamstringing Heyman because these do not sound like Heyman promos at all.
Well, I have one other thing I want to say to kind of close off the Seth Rollins thing, and actually then kind of segue into something else since we're talking about promos. And like I said, Seth had the he had to get squeezing that tagline to burn it down, which then he ended up literally doing later on that night, committing arson, via storyline. And I don't know.
Randy Orton throwback.
Yeah, exactly. Randy Orton throwback. We've seen this. Yep.
Botchamania was on the fucking point today, where they gave credit to some guy. I don't remember who it was exactly, but Bray Wyatt's in a big match They term it shitty match. I don't feel that Hell in a Cell was shitty match, but I can see how wrestling purists would not like it because it was very much more of a movie match than it was a wrestling match. But that being said,
I like honestly. I mean, we've talked about it, and I don't want to like go back on it too much, but I will say that I liked the Hell in a Cell match. I liked the overall style. It's just the ending that I hated. But
the bottom line
I did not
is
like
Bray
the red
Wyatt's
glow. I did not like that.
Okay,
Bray Wyatt's involved in some big overdramatic match where some shit happens, which in part of the story, his house is burned down, and then goes to a different brand and is unable to challenge for said title again. I mean,
except now he is at Crown Jewel. And look, before we move on to anything else, I do want to talk a little bit about, as much as I'm not going to watch Crown Jewel, I want to talk a little bit about that because we talked about the whole Bray Wyatt Hell in a Cell match with Seth Rollins. When we talked about how the heck are they going to get themselves out of this? And we saw the catastrophe that it was. Why, oh why, when with all these reports that we've read, and again, internet, who knows how true they are, we've read these reports that say Vince McMahon knew after that match that he blundered it, that it was not a good ending. It was a terrible decision. People hated it. They kept Seth Rollins off TV because they didn't want him to immediately come out on Raw and get shit on all night long. But they're doing the same thing at Crown Jewel. And it's not the fact that the fans there in attendance aren't going to shit on it. More people than just the people in Saudi Arabia are going to be watching this. They're going to televise it on the network. People are going to watch it. Do you not think that people are going to watch that match? And if there's some sort of, ridiculous hokey dokey finish, or if Seth Rollins goes over clean, that the next Monday Night Raw, the crowd's not going to dump all over it. They're going to remember it. They're not going to forget it.
And it's
so how do they get themselves out of it?
That's a hell of a question. I don't know.
Honestly, it felt like the draft was that answer.
Yeah,
like,
but they had their perfect out.
As much as I disagree with Bray being on SmackDown, as much as I think it's a dumb decision, that's it exactly. It was a perfect out. Would you kind of give them a clean break? Maybe, and Tom, I think you suggested this earlier sometime this month. You said save it for Mania. Bring it back around whenever it's the big show, and you've had adequate time to push both of them to where they need to be. But now, I mean, listen, we can transition into talking a little bit about Crown Jewel and the disappointment, because let's talk about how much blood money is absolutely coursing through this event.
Oh my God. Tyson, you know what Tyson Fury's payday is going to be?
15 million, I think, for one show.
That's the highest one-off.
Yes, 15 million just for this Crown Jewel match, and then with the possibility, if he wants to come back and do any other ones, to be somewhere between 15 and 20. And real quick, this was a kind of a tie-in. This was where I was actually going to tie into, but Seth Rollins getting his stupid tagline in of "Burn it down." The same fucking thing is happening with Braun Strowman. Get these hands. Okay, we get it. Get these hands. Got it. It's your thing. But he has to work it into that, to any little fucking meeting that's going on, any promo, anything that's going on right now. I'm getting sick of it. I really am.
It's marketing.
It's that hokey WWE. Yes, it's that hokey WWE marketing stuff. Freaking, what's her dumb face?
Sasha Banks. It's boss time.
No.
It's
well, she doesn't say that. She doesn't say that, and he doesn't say that. That's a stupid Michael Cole announcer thing. But it's the same thing with stupid what's her face. It is. What the hell? I can't think of her name. I hate her so much.
Charlotte?
Becky Lynch. Lynch. She cannot come out to the ring without saying the man. We get it. It's your moniker. Can you cut one promo without saying it? No. It's that stupid hokey WWE marketing bullcrap.
But speaking of all this Crown Jewel stuff, so couple things there. I can't understand. Number one, I understand from a business aspect. I know it's a big draw event. It's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's an attraction match between Tyson Fury and Braun Strowman. But Tyson Fury has a fight coming up in February, so there's already a lot of promoters and stuff that didn't even want him to do this, because what if he gets injured? Now, I know that, Braun's not going to, pick him up and toss him around like a rag doll or anything like that. And he's not going to fucking, beat the ever living shit out of him. But man, it's
I bet you'll see a very lopsided match.
Well, here's the
because of the fact that they're going to want to protect him.
Exactly.
He won't take very many bumps. I can almost promise you that
he can't.
He won't take very many bumps.
Exactly. That's my point. Like, they're going to have to do so much to protect him to either one, the match is going to suffer itself because realistically, I know Braun Strowman's a big dude. I know he's probably a tough son of a bitch, just like many other wrestlers are. I get that. Like, I mean, there are some legitimate tough guys in pro wrestling. I mean, yeah, it's scripted physicality. It's a little bit pulled back compared to like, boxing or UFC.
But the physicality is still there.
But there is still physicality, which,
yes, 100%.
which is still good for people that MMA fighters and stuff like that want to transition out of UFC and stuff like that. They can still do something physical, but it's just to a lesser degree. So they still get a little bit of the fix, so to speak. But realistically, man, if Tyson Fury lands one fucking punch on Braun Strowman, he could knock his ass out. You mean to tell me I'm supposed to be able to believe that there's going to be a quote unquote fight between these two? Get the fuck out of here. Like
Rey Mysterio versus Big Show, Rey Mysterio versus JBL. Same damn thing. He's super duper tiny. One punch from either one of those guys would flatten him into Concussion City instantly. It's the same thing.
It's just give me a little bit of a believability. Like, suspend my disbelief a little bit. Don't make me out to be a fucking idiot. Don't insult my intelligence. Like,
well, I mean, it's sports entertainment nowadays, and that's what it is. We could throw punches and not have these guys knocked out instantly.
Yeah.
I just don't understand. Like, you have Braun Strowman, who, he's in the same fucking boat as Rollins. Super fucking hot, 2 years ago, Crowd's getting him way over. Like, he flips the ambulance, like, yeah, okay, you know what, believability aside, I thought it was a really fucking cool shot, and I thought it was an awesome segment. Probably one of the better segments I've seen on Raw in the last 5 years. So you have some guy who's, like, super fucking, like, over, and I don't understand, and that's still there with him. Like, the people are still with him.
If they,
I don't understand the point. Who made the decision? Let's have this guy who's a legitimate monster, who the fans are behind, and who we could legit make a face of our company in a few years. Let's have this guy eat a fucking pin or KO or whatever the fuck it is from Tyson Fury. Like,
exactly.
Boxing
it's
versus
be the
wrestling
same thing.
Never works. Never works.
It doesn't transition well at all. I mean, it's the same. Don't we have an MMA fighter now facing Brock Lesnar at the same event?
We do, but I will say
we've got two wrestlers.
He is officially a WWE. He officially retired from MMA and is officially a WWE wrestler now. So,
for Pete's sake,
I will say this. As much as I have no problem with Cain Velasquez being in the WWE or having his match against Brock because supposedly, if I heard correctly, it's a non-title match. Now I'm okay with that. That's fine. He wants to come in and do that. That's fine. As much as I dislike how fast they push Ronda Rousey, let's call a spade a spade. If it wasn't for Ronda Rousey, do you think the women would have main evented WrestleMania? Probably not. Exactly. So you had that name and star power. Now, I didn't know who the hell, like, even though I don't follow MMA, I knew who Ronda Rousey was. I mean, like, I know of her. She is a household name. I had no idea who the fuck Cain Velasquez was because, yeah, he beat Brock Lesnar 9 fucking years ago. I don't care. I will say at least they brought up that history, and that's fine. That's fine that they're doing that and they're tying the history in and stuff like that. And they're bringing him in, good on him, whatever, that's fine.
My problem is still that he does not look like a competitor. He looks like a dude who was watching NASCAR on Sundays, drank a beer, and said, "Hold on, son, I gotta go beat up Brock Lesnar."
Yeah, but you can't. Okay, you can't realistically say that when you have a guy like Otis in the ring. Come on now. Really?
Okay, but Otis is not an MMA fighter. Like I hear what you're saying,
Yeah.
but like they're pushing this dude to be the baddest fucking man on the planet. That he's the guy that fucking beat Lesnar, and here he comes, fucking jorts and a muffin top and like looking like he doesn't even want to be there, and I just like
that
and that's
I
the
agree
same
with
boat
you.
that I'm in with Fury and Strowman. Why? This is your prestige title. This is your lineage title. This is the WWE title. Why do you put it in this kind of a fucking circus act? You could have Lesnar versus Velasquez at Crown Jewel with no title on the line. You could have Kofi still holding the title and be no worse for the wear. There are a lot of decisions being made right now that clearly Fox is influential on, which I don't think is good for the business. It might be good for Fox, and it might be good for ratings, and it might be good in the short term, but short-term thinking is what killed WCW. So if they're booking for the short term, I got news. Like, they got problems. AEW has proven that they can draw. So I would love to see a world where AEW says, fuck it, let's go to Monday nights, and where Raw gets its teeth stomped in by AEW. I would love to see a world like that. And that's probably years off. But my point is that, if Fox is going to be the master now, and they're going to get to manipulate the top end storylines, WWE has to be very protective of their brand and be very protective of what they let Fox have control of.
Yeah.
So let me say one thing here.
Yeah, go ahead.
And this is in the vein.
A good segue.
This is in the vein of strategery. If AEW really wanted to try to put the screws to WWE, no matter how many times people have come out and said we're not starting a Wednesday Night War, we just want to do our own thing, blah blah blah. I don't know how true that is and how true it isn't. It really seems like Cody still has a chip on his shoulder from WWE, and that he's out to kind of stick it. Kind of rub salt in the wound a little bit, be like, see what I did? See what I did? If AEW really wanted to try their damnedest to put the screws to WWE, right now is the time to move AEW to Monday nights, because WWE is going to be bending to the whim of Fox. And if Fox is going to be taking all of these big name stars that people are legitimately going to want to tune in, maybe not the smarks, but, the people are going to want to tune in to see these guys. If they're going to take the bulk of them over to SmackDown and make SmackDown the premier show, now is the time for AEW, if they really wanted to start that war, to move to Mondays, because Raw is going to be hurting for talent. Raw is going to be the secondhand show. And if somebody wanted to topple Raw, in my opinion, now's the time to do it, because all the focus is on SmackDown and Fox. And honestly, Fox could care less what the hell happens on USA's network. They don't give a shit. They don't care what happens on Monday Night Raw. They have no vested interest in that. All they care about is what's happening on SmackDown, on their network. And if Raw starts to really fail, all they're going to do is go, well, that brand's failing. Give us the rest of these top guys over onto our show.
Well, I will say this, that honestly, from watching the draft and everything like that, it's actually I feel like they're actually kind of pretty even. Like they're not too bad off. Like Raw's not really necessarily hurting per se. I don't know. And I had a point. I have one other shitty thing to say about the draft, but then I have one good point about Raw. The one thing I hated about the draft was the stupid fucking war room. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It was the most fake bullshit ever of sports entertainment that I've seen. If you really wanted to make the war room feel more legitimized, you could have had a camera on wrestlers sitting back there reacting to them getting drafted to one brand or another. but having these quote unquote executives and the stupid fucking Fox robot kiss my ass, it sucked. I hated it. I hated it. I hated it.
Real quick, Tom, before you jump on the Raw, I just want to say this about the draft. Like, it's very clear that WWE does not understand the way that a draft works, because in a draft you have time between picks. Because in a non-predetermined order draft, in a draft where it's not scripted, you have Fox and Raw, or SmackDown and Raw theoretically vying between two people. So if Raw drafts Lesnar, or if Raw drafts Rollins and SmackDown drafts Lesnar, Raw could have wanted Lesnar and said, "Oh shit, well we need to go back to the drawing board." What they did is they brought out picks like 3 and 4 at a time. I think 5 at a time, in fact. And like it just like it didn't feel real. It felt 100% stupid, and the war rooms did not help. You're 100% right.
Well, no,
I'm sure that harkens back to Vince being clueless. I'm sure Vince McMahon has no idea how a regular sports draft works, because I'm willing to bet that Vince McMahon doesn't watch sports.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second, and I will say part of that is probably just a time thing, because you still have the rest of the show that you have to get through, and they wanted to get it to feel as close as they could to a draft, and I get that. I have no problem with the how they did the picks. I just hated the war room. I hated that. I hated the stupid fake reactions, the stupid high fives, and the fucking quote unquote. I hate the stupid fake executives that they had back there. It was just so stupid. It really was. That felt so forced. Again, forced. That was the problem.
Yep. Did they have a USA Network war room on Raw?
Yes.
Oh,
they had USA a USA and a Fox war room on both SmackDown and Fox. Like cameras cutting through. Like, let's see how the USA executives feel that now that they picked up so and everybody's like, hooray!
Okay, all right. I wasn't sure. I thought it was just the Fox doing that.
But I get what you're saying, Beef, because and this is the part where we do have to suspend disbelief. I'll play devil's advocate and I'll say, yes, this isn't sports, it's sports entertainment. So yeah, there is going to be a difference from a regular legitimate draft. And I get that. That part I can accept, but what I can't accept is the forced bullshit of the war rooms and just that's right. Stupidity.
So if you're suspending disbelief, and we all, and for the most part, most people know it's all staged and everything. Right. I mean, that just screams of this. Like, why bother incorporating something as realistic as the war room?
Exactly.
So here's what I think. I think the draft should have been a special event on Fox where there was no wrestling, and they treated it like an honest-to-God draft. Yeah. Where they had like time in between. You could have analysts, from Fox, from WWE, like merge the two. Have some Fox, have some WWE, have that stupid fucking Justin Roberts guy, whatever. Like, you could make it, and I mean, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but if Fox wants to go for this real thing, why not go all the way?
But and they should have gone, pun intended, they should have gone all in with the draft.
Hey.
Yeah.
No, but
exactly. I mean, they really should have. It should have been its own separate event.
Right.
At the end of the day, we are stuck with basically the same rosters that we had going in to the whole wild card fiasco, minus Bray on SmackDown and a couple of other key moves here and there. But I mean, for the most part, the rosters are what they were before.
I get that.
It felt so anticlimactic.
It was. That's the best word to describe it. It was anticlimactic, but in the hopes of this moving forward, and according to Stephanie McMahon and all accounts that we've heard, they are going to be definitive separate brands. So definitive
except
separate
for
rosters.
Fucking Crown Jewels, where you have a SmackDown guy and a Raw guy. They fucking say that, and this is oh my god, Tom. Oh my god, they fucking say that, and then 2 minutes later, they book a Raw versus SmackDown Raw.
Don't kill the messenger. Trust me, I'm with you.
It goes back to the whole. I've said it before. I'll say it again. We're going to bring it up multiple times on the podcast, so there's no surprise here. It's at the whim of Vince McMahon.
Yep.
So they can start out saying these are going to be two separate, completely separate rosters. They're not going to interact except on maybe a special event like a Survivor Series where we'll put Raw against SmackDown. We're going to have two completely separate things. You won't see Raw guys on Raw, or you won't see SmackDown guys on Raw. You won't see Raw guys on SmackDown pay-per-views, blah, blah, blah. But it's all at the whim of Vince McMahon. If Vince McMahon says to himself or to somebody else, you know what, I want this SmackDown guy showing up on this Raw pay-per-view because of reasons, it's going to happen. It's all what that crazy old man wants.
Yeah. But I will say one good thing. Let's get our blood pressure down and then raise it back up in excitement for the Viking Raiders becoming tag team champions on Raw. Hooray! That was actually
2 months too late, man. 2 months too late. Like, I think that they should have came on Raw.
Spoiled it.
What's that?
Sorry.
Beef. The WWE spoiled it for Beef.
Wow.
They spoiled the Viking Raiders for him. I can't believe it.
I know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think so. So Viking Raiders should have hit the scene, not done the stupid, like, are they heels? Are they faces? What's their name? They should have been, like, decimated somebody first night on, second night, take those fucking titles and held them till now.
Hey, listen, I'm with you that they putzed around and they dragged their feet on it, but for all the shittiness that's coming on down our way with the crown jewel bullshit and this draft nonsense, I'm gonna take this small victory.
Congratulations to them.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of awesome things, Raymond Rowe, Eric is a former IWC alum, so that's cool. But did you know that they are the first tag team to hold the IWGP, Ring of Honor, NXT, and WWE Tag Team Championships?
I did, because our very awesome sponsor, Sean Tischler, actually posted that in his little closed group for the IWC Clearfield group, which, you know what, I'll have to ask him if maybe that's what he wants us to promote, to kind of get more eyes on the Clearfield, IWC in Clearfield and stuff like that. In the meantime, we'll have to ask him about that. So another good thing that actually happened on SmackDown, and again, I know it's a little too almost like a little like, okay, too little too late sort of thing, but Bayley finally getting that full on heel turn, man. How about that? Like, I
well timed.
The only thing I would have liked better is if they actually worked up to it a little bit and made me like invest in it a little bit more. It just felt like it kind of came out of nowhere very quickly. Like, I don't know, like she was still doing the whole I'm like still smiley and stuff like that, but I'm a bad guy because I'm with Sasha. Like, I feel like, I don't know.
Why wasn't it done before?
I don't know.
Here's
reasons.
I'm excited for it, and I love her look, and I love the fact that she like mauled the Bayley buddies. Like, that was great.
Yep.
But when we look at the rosters now, like, I don't see a clear competitor for her title on SmackDown.
That is a problem.
Except for Sasha Banks, who I feel works way better as a heel.
I'll tell you this much.
Hold on for a second. Wait, hold on. Let me just interrupt you real quick there. Don't forget your point, Beef, but I just want to ask this because I don't know myself. What women are on that roster?
On SmackDown?
Yeah, the roster that Bayley's on. What women are on that?
Hang on. I'll give you that right now. Because I have the draft results from this draft here. So let me give you a rundown of what I can see real quick. Sasha Banks, Lacey Evans.
I guess because she was just on Raw last night, but
yeah, again,
I guess draft nights don't count. So
yeah, exactly. More confusion, and she tagged with Natty, who she went. Never mind. That's I'm not gonna raise my blood pressure again. Anyways, okay, so officially Sasha Banks, Lacey Evans. Hang on, looking.
Cross and Bliss were just traded to SmackDown for quote-unquote future pick considerations. What the fuck does that even mean? I mean, I, as a sports fan, know what that means, but what the fuck does that even mean in terms of Raw and SmackDown? Like, it's so dumb.
I don't know, dude. Hold on. Let me find some... Hold on. Yeah, I'm getting there. Let's see. Yep, you got Bailey. Wow, there's really not a whole lot. Yeah, Carmella and honestly, that's it. That's the of the official listed ones.
So you were saying, Beef, that you don't see a clear opponent for Bailey?
So there are two. Obviously, Sasha Banks, which I think has been coming for a while. But again, like, I mean, Sasha is a much better heel than she's a face. So that's weird. And B is having, oh, hell.
Well, I mean, there's a lot.
What the fuck is her name? The Queen of Spades, Baszler. Having Baszler come up. But again, she is a very clear heel. So, like, I mean,
do you think they're going to do a heel versus heel promo, or do you think they're going to turn somebody face? They're going to turn somebody face to have her go against Bailey?
Here's what I think. Now, keep in mind, there are a lot of people that were undrafted, especially female superstars. Even though, like, now keep in mind, some of this is going to be mixed. Like Dana Brooke was on Raw, but she was undrafted during their draft pool of night 2. So, like, you got Dana Brooke, Ember Moon, because she's inactive due to an ankle injury. You got Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. So there's that.
I can't believe they weren't drafted. That blows my mind too.
Hold on, you got Lana, but obviously she's more than likely going to end up on Raw anyways. I'm sure with all this cuckold angle.
Fish.
So dumb.
You got Ruby Riott and Sarah Logan, but Ruby Riott is inactive right now due to a shoulder injury.
Been a long time.
You got Nia Jax. I hope she stays gone. That's okay. Naomi. I don't know where the hell she's been.
Is she injured or just off TV?
Who, Naomi?
Yeah.
I think just off TV.
Off TV because her husband can't get out of his own. He's becoming the new fucking Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
Is that one of the Usos?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my.
But there's that. Here's what I think. I honestly think. I think with some, I've been seeing a little bit more stuff highlighted about Lacey Evans doing the charity work that she's doing and stuff like that. Like, she still tries to keep her kayfabe character, but I see them making kind of a face turn for Lacey Evans. So there's that.
That doesn't work either.
Well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. They're kind of shot
themselves into a corner.
Honestly, there's not a whole lot. It seems like Raw has more of the female talent than SmackDown does, but I don't know. It's
so who do they put into a program with Bailey now?
That's
it.
We don't know.
Maybe a returning Ember Moon. Maybe like Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose work way better as heels. Baszler's a better heel. Sasha's a better heel. Lacey's a better heel. Like
here's a thing.
Probably Carmella. To answer your question, probably Carmella. But
probably Carmella. But no. They were saying about this. As far as the Kabuki Warriors go, the women's tag team champions can defend on any show, so they can show up on SmackDown. And you could have Bailey and Sasha kind of feuding with them a little bit. But if they lose the titles, Raw retains the exclusive quote unquote pick to Asuka and Kairi Sane. So they would stay, then they would be exclusive to the Raw roster.
Again,
is that the only championship they're doing that with?
Yes. As of right now, yes. That's what I got.
In
theory. But yeah, I don't know. Man.
I would not like to see a program with Bailey and Carmella. I would not be vested in that at all. Like, I would have no interest in that. Maybe that would interest a lot of people, but for me, it would do nothing for me.
Oh, here you go. The supplementary picks from night 1. 8 additional picks were announced on WWE's website on October 13th, except for Apollo Crews, who was slated to be a part of the night 2 pool. All wrestlers selected had initially gone undrafted during night 1. So here's somebody that went to SmackDown. Tamina.
Fantastic.
Well, and here's the thing. So I kind of feel like, and this is going to be like super hypocritical, but like the women's roster, I don't think is as deep as the men's roster, and it's certainly not as deep and good as the men's roster. I don't know if the women's roster can support having two like unique shows. So the wild card was kind of a blessing for the women's roster. So I hate to speak out of both sides of my mouth.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I almost forgot all about the Iconics.
Yeah, where are they at?
Let's see. Here we go. Free agents. Several wrestlers were made free agents due to injury, inactivity, or not being drafted during their draft pool. The Iconics. Subsequent status on Raw. So, yeah.
It's just
I don't know.
At this point, honestly, there are not a lot of like good face women out there.
There aren't.
Which is even more befuddling of the Bayley heel turn. Like, I think in my mind, I saw the Sasha like Judas heel turn coming a lot sooner than when it's gonna come, and then Bayley being like some sort of like mega face.
Sorry,
but like honestly, like we got Becky Lynch as like a hugely over face. We got Natalya as like a lukewarm face. Ember Moon, but she's hurt, and I guess Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, who I think both work better as heels anyway. So
Natalya is just lukewarm anything. I don't know why the fuck she's still there. I'm sorry. I could give two shits less. I hate her when she's a face, and I hate her more when she tries to be a heel. Because honestly, again, forced. Natty's.
I respect her.
I respect her, but she can go away anytime.
She was, I agree, because she was kind of the bridge between the divas and the women. Like, she's the only holdover really now from the divas, era.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know it the way you wouldn't know for the lack of title runs or anything that she's had, because they just don't fucking do anything with her ever. So So give me a reason why I'm supposed to care about Natty at all. Give me a reason.
It's a fair point.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
Natty's irrelevant. Change my mind.
You're wrong.
Speaking of things being irrelevant, did anything happen worth talking about on AEW?
That fucking Jericho promo, private party beating the Bucks, I think is pretty huge. Moxley versus Spears was really good. So yeah, I mean, there's something to talk about. I think
Darby Allin and Jimmy Havoc had a match, and whoever won faces Jericho tomorrow night on AEW. Now, for those of you listening to this recording, it's obviously after Wednesday night, but for these two yuckles here, tomorrow night on AEW, Jericho is going to face Darby Allin. So
that'll be a good match, I think.
Yeah, and it's going to be a title match, but yeah, granted, I mean, yeah,
they're not going to put that on Darby,
right?
Really, I missed Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that Darby, I think, is a superstar of the future.
Yeah.
Because kid shows a lot of promise, but it would make zero sense going into your first I guess this would be like your first full-fledged pay-per-view in full gear to do a hot potato title change before then.
Oh, I don't think they will. They're not going to take that title off of Jericho before a pay-per-view. No way. Whenever Jericho loses that title, it's going to be at a pay-per-view. I cannot imagine it being on a weekly televised show.
Hey, I got some breaking news here. You want to give me some news music there, Beef? This just in. Dos Hermanos Lucha is now following me on Instagram. Sorry, I had to do something smart ass, so. But anyways.
So I missed the Jericho promo. Did he kind of shit on WWE?
Oh,
yes.
Did he?
Oh, yes. So tell me about it.
They had the Inner Circle out there, which is a great faction, a great stable.
I'm all for that stable.
Yeah, except for not Hernandez. What's the other one's name?
Ortiz.
Ortiz.
Santana.
Ortiz with the tongue thing, it was just kind of wagging like a dog. Okay, that was weird. But other than that,
wait, wasn't that Guevara doing that?
No. That was.
Well, Guevara was sticking his tongue out a whole bunch, like he was looking for a money shot or something. But
Oh, I didn't notice that. I just saw Ortiz and I'm like, man, come on, like you're I get it. Like someone in the back probably said, hey man, play this up, but I mean, come on now. But yeah, I mean so you have them standing there and Jericho's kind of talking them all up. He's talking up LAX, he's talking up Guevara, he's talking up Jake Hagar, and when he starts talking about Jake Hagar, the crowd starts chanting, "We the people," and he's like, hold on. And like the crowd kind of stops, and he goes, "We the people is dead." Like it was put in place by some shitty creative, with like uninspired roots, and it's dead.
Oh wow,
it's
he
gone.
shut that shit down quick then.
He just shut it down.
Good
like
for him.
He is a fucking master at his work, man. He is just an incredible talker.
well, and the good thing about that, to credit Jericho even more, and I covered this Sunday morning as well too, was that the fact that the crowd was popping for that, and Jericho being a good heel and such a good, knowledgeable, intuitive worker, he immediately turns around and then he like shits all over Dusty, and then had the crowd booing him because he was shitting all over Dusty. So good on Jericho. But
he is the smartest dude in the business.
he is,
bar none, the smartest dude.
But that was really, yeah, like Beef said, that was probably the biggest highlights, was the Private Party Bucks match.
Yeah.
It was a really good match.
Great match, yeah, match.
The Private Party going over in the upset. The Darby Allin Jimmy Havoc match was actually really good too. There wasn't,
I thought it could have used one more segment, like have it go 10 minutes longer, and I think it would have been very, very good. But it was good for what it was.
Having them do a match where there wasn't a whole bunch of hardcore and thumbtacks and fucking people dying and fucking dropping out of airplanes and whatever, it was a good match. It really was. It was a solid match. And Darby going over, I think was the right call there. And then, like Beef said, the Jericho segment, it was AEW overall was still a very complete, really good show too. So
look, if I could be serious for a moment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Easy, Lance.
Lance Storm. I think I've done it before, but I'm going to do it again. And it's going to be one of those things where I probably continue to do it until he's done and gone and out of the business completely. I'm going to stroke Chris Jericho here a little bit.
Woo.
How smart is this dude? Like, I cannot get over it. I cannot get over how smart Chris Jericho is. Every single time he reinvents himself, the man is a genius. He's a genius in everything he does. And this is a guy who, if I was running a company, this is a guy who I would want to secure for the long term and not ever, ever let him go.
Wait, would you say that you would never ever let him go?
Oh my goodness, never. Because if you think about it, Chris Jericho has a mind that can span all time of his career. When he's done with his in-ring work, when he decides he wants to hang up the boots, he could be the perfect mouthpiece for a stable of young up-and-coming guys. And I use Ric Flair as an example. I don't compare him to Ric Flair, but I'm using Flair as an example. Like with Flair with Evolution, Flair still wrestled, but for a large part, he was a very big mouthpiece for the stable.
Right.
Jericho can transition into that whenever he wants to be done with in-ring work, or even when he wants to be done with full-time in-ring work. He can transition to a mouthpiece for a stable of young guys and get them over like he wasn't even trying. I mean, he can make it look effortless to get a stable over just by coming out and being a mouthpiece, being at ringside for their matches. I mean, the man's a genius. And then if he doesn't want to do that, good Lord, I would try to find a spot for him anywhere in the company, backstage. If he could write or produce, the man is a genius. I mean, to secure him for your company is a massive win. And, I wonder if anybody in WWE throughout this process, with Jericho being in AEW, has thought to themselves, oh man, we really should not have let Jericho go. Like, even if he wanted to leave WWE and go somewhere else, we really should have done something, offered him something to keep him there. Even if it was just to keep him away from the competition. Because, to be honest, the man is dangerous.
did you realize that he is like now like on terms with like persona non grata, like Macho Man CM Punk status? Like if you breathe the word Chris Jericho to Vince McMahon, the man's gonna have an aneurysm. So I guarantee that his name is not even spoken in a hushed tone at that company.
Well,
Like,
now, no, but I mean, like, even if people like in the back are like thinking to themselves, shit, look at what he's doing there. He shut down a We the People chant. And that was one of the chants that even when Jack Swagger was floundering in the ring, that was a chant where Jack Swagger would come out, put his hand over his chest, and the entire arena would chant with him, "We the People." And then they could give two shits about him, less. But they always freaking did it. And
Well,
Chris Jericho can shut that down in a crowd. The man is dangerous. And I would be afraid of him if I ran a wrestling company or if I was involved in a wrestling company and Chris Jericho worked for the competition. I'd be afraid of him because the man is a genius and he's super dangerous.
Oh yeah. Well, and the thing is I don't think it was for I don't think it was for a lack of trying with WWE. I think they made him an offer, and honestly, I think Jericho was just like it came down to Jericho was like, yeah, I want to try something new. He's like, because he even said it, he's like, I knew that if I went back to WWE that I was going to be doing, some of the same old stuff, and creatively I was going to be handcuffed. And he's like, the list was good. He's like, but I didn't want to keep doing that and ride it into the dirt or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he made a little reference to it, which was nice. He made these little nuances. Like I had mentioned that when he said about, he was talking up Sammy Guevara, he's like, look at him, he looks like a Spanish god. And he's like, and that's why he's on my list. And then he, throwing that little nod to the list. Yeah, but that aside, like he wanted to do something new. He wanted to, once again, he wanted to reinvent himself. And I don't think, even if WWE threw, twice as much of whatever they had offered him or something like that, I really wonder if he would have gone back or not. I really wonder how much he struggled with it, because then you saw Moxley, who I'm going to take a wild guess that by comparison probably wasn't offered the same amount of money as Jericho was, because Jericho's just been around for such a longer time and is a bigger name. But Moxley, according by all accounts with him, he didn't even look at what they offered him. He just said, no, I'm not interested. I want to go do something else. Because again, if you're not enjoying yourself and you're not getting to hone your craft, then what's the point of it? Yeah, money's
why
money.
bother?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, money's money and it pays the bills. But look at somebody like Moxley. This is going by all accounts of what he said. He's like, I have everything I wanted. He's like, I have my house, I have my car, I have this, I have that. He's like, it wasn't about the money for me. It was about getting to do what I wanted to do and enjoying it. So, yep. That's sometimes that's more important, and eventually if you, if you're doing what you do and you're enjoying it and people see that, people are more invested in you and you're a bigger draw. And if you're a bigger draw, then you can eventually demand a little bit more money. That's fine. The money can come, but if you're stuck doing something and you're miserable with it, it's gonna show. Look at perfect example. Look at EC3. Look at when he came out and just fucking gave zero fucks about anything. The 1 week, I can't even remember how long ago it was now. The 1 week he was like out on Raw, and he just fucking was like, meh.
Remember the stick with the red Solo cup? Like he kept showing up with that red Solo cup because he featured in that one party segment. So he would like that was like a shtick for a while.
Yep.
Like that dude gets it too, man. And like they're missing on so much. And I'm really hoping that Heyman can revitalize some of this, because if there's anybody I trust some of these like borderline people with, it's Paul Heyman.
Like a perfect example, and I know it was. I know it was, kind of his gimmick for the night, but Bulk Nasty with IWC, he's like, I don't even want to be here. Like, no, in real life, that's how EC3 is. Like, it's not a gimmick. Like, he's fucking miserable back there. And again, it's just one of those things where he's kind of stuck in a contract. And I want to say that I feel sorry for Mike Kanellis, but
I was gonna say, speaking of not wanting to be there and stuck in a contract, how fucked is that guy?
Oh, you read my mind because
Did he request his release?
Yep.
He sure fucking did.
Oh,
Fucking,
I bet they're not going to let him go.
No way.
3 months after he signed a big 5-year deal. Wow.
Yep. No, he's stuck. They're not going to let him go.
Hell no. And I guarantee you, they're not counting the time that Maria's out for maternity leave. That's still going to have to be tacked on. There, honestly, I almost feel sorry for Mike and Maria, but that was their choice. I mean, they chose that they needed the money. They took the money. Now they gotta pay the piper. You know. So,
yeah.
Speaking of contracts.
Hey. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, noticeable on their absence of who hasn't been drafted was Luke Harper. I think he's back in the doghouse because he put some more shit out there on Twitter.
What did he say?
Nothing. So nothing too incendiary, but basically, fuck. I don't want to misquote it.
Well, go ahead,
but it was something. Yeah. But basically, now he's not. He hasn't been drafted. So basically, him and Rowan aren't a thing anymore. So.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you want to look that up, Beef, I'll run down some of the people that are still undrafted as of last night. So let me look this up here. Post draft trade following night 2.
I got it.
Okay.
Luke Harper. DMs are wide open. WWE threatened to find me, but it's cool when NXT talent cusses on Twitter. ... Got it.
Wait.
Wow.
Okay. So I wonder, who was he referring to then?
Who knows? But I mean, it's very clear that he gives 2 fucks, or rather, he gives 0 fucks, and he's 1 foot out the door. It's just a matter of how long, you know.
Hey, look, hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Do your thing here real quick.
I was just going to run down some of the wrestlers that are still currently undrafted. Now
we don't need to do that.
No?
People have the internet for that. They can check that out. It's not even worth wasting your breath and our time for. Go ahead, Ransom.
All right, so look, we're at 10:22, or I'm sorry, it's 10:25 in the PMs right now as we record this. We've got a lot of IWC stuff to cover. So what I want to do real quick is I had one more thing I especially wanted to get Beef's take on. As we're talking about AEW, and then I'd really like to segue into the hot tag trivia, and then really close out the night talking about the IWC show. Because there's going to be a lot of really good stuff to talk about, and I don't want to cut it short or sell it short. So, with you Beef saying that Jericho's pretty much persona non grata now, in the category of a macho man or a CM Punk in the WWE. I find it hard to believe that at some point he won't be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, after the storybook career that he's had. And after all, he was the very first undisputed WWF, WWE champion. Do you think that A, he would go into the Hall of Fame? And B, do you think that they're going to wait until he is completely 110% done with wrestling and AEW before they induct him into that? Or do you think that, even if he's maybe a backstage guy at AEW, he goes in?
So I think, honestly, because let's not belabor the fact that the Hall of Fame is all about Vince's ego. And people get in when he say they get in. And I mean, I think even after he's dead and gone, it's going to be an extension of Triple H and Stephanie's ego. People get in whenever they say they get in. It's all going to depend on how successful the AEW is, how much of a threat they pose to WWE, and whether they are taking eyes truly off the product. I think right now you could say that they are, they're winning the smarks right now. Now Poot made a point a couple weeks ago that that's still kind of the bright and shiny thing. Wait for the shine to wear off and see where we're at in maybe half a year or a year. But I think at the end of the day, and I mean, honestly, I already feel like AEW is pretty largely successful. They put on pretty great pay-per-views, and they have a pretty good to great weekly syndicate. 2 weeks in, so I feel like his impact on this war, quote unquote war, with AEW coming about, I think that how big AEW becomes determines how quickly he gets into the Hall of Fame. I think he will eventually make the Hall of Fame, but it may be even, and again, God willing, hopefully AEW is a big hit and is around for years to come. And so it could be something where it could be even be like, posthumous, where they wait for him to like be gone. But you can't discredit the work that he's done. He is a surefire Hall of Famer. And if this were like a legit sports Hall of Fame, he'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So
you are damn right I would be.
Hold on. Everybody shut up. Shut up. It's my time now. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the advocate for the late arriving, undisputed, defending, I'm going out of order because I can, because I'm the advocate, Cruiserweight champion of the P3 podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my genuine pleasure to introduce to you Pook the Bard.
Baby, how are you guys doing?
Oh, we're running roughshod over this podcast.
Oh, I can imagine. What's the topic of discussion? Who's the Hall of Famer here?
Ransom posed the question. Ransom was posing the question about Jericho, whether he gets in. Well, how soon he gets in the Hall of Fame, and I had postulated that it's going to depend on how big AEW gets.
Yeah, I just got done S and Jericho's D there for a second, talking about how, the man is a genius, and
he was full on cupping the balls too.
Oh yeah, like it doesn't matter what he does or where he goes. The man is super smart, and then even when he's done with his in-ring work, he can still come, and be a mouthpiece for a stable of up-and-coming guys and get them over without, even putting in a single modicum of effort, because he's Chris Jericho.
Oh, no doubt.
And when I was on that tirade, Beef said, at this point in time, Jericho is, persona non grata in WWE. He's right there in the category of like a Macho Man or a CM Punk, when Punk initially left.
Ooh,
so I posed the question.
Statement.
Hey, Poot.
Yeah.
I got roll reversal here. If you want to give me a little bit of fast count news music, I got something for you here.
Dun 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 dun. Gimmick stealing. Dun 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 dun.
All right, so that's the pot calling the kettle black, there, champ. Anyways, all right. So apparently, William Regal gives Shotzi Blackheart an NXT contract at Evolve.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait, who is this? What?
Shotzi Blackheart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she's got an NXT contract now.
So look, Mr. Bard.
What's that?
I was gonna say she's a big independent name.
Yep.
So just to catch up there, Poot, we talked WWE, we talked AEW. I really wanted to save IWC to the end, just because it was an amazing event, and I have got nothing but positive things to say about it, and B, in hopes that you would be here to be able to talk about your experience at the old IWC as well. So what we really wanted to do was to segue into the hot tag trivia / stump the chumps, if we got one now, and really close out the show talking about IWC. Sorry.
That sounds great. I got to look up a question. I'm not gonna lie.
That's no
so
problem.
I've got a question, and I want to pose it to Beef. So if it's all right with you guys, we'll go me to Beef, Beef to Tom, Tom to Poot, and then Poot to me, if that's acceptable with everybody.
Oh, that's okay. Mine's going to be a softball for you, Ransom, because, gosh, you gave me such a good intro.
Yeah.
Hey, that's my job. That's my job, is to make you look good.
Tom, what was... and that's a tough job.
Hey, I feel like Chris Jericho. I feel like it's not hard for me to make you look good. I feel like it comes easy just because you're that damn good.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Hey, Beef, do we have a Stump the Chumps for this week?
We do, in fact.
Oh, all right. Let's roll that in real quick here, and then we'll do the hot tag.
Oh, yeah, right. So,
sure.
question
Who to
from
Mr.
Make. What do you say? Okay.
Mr. Make.
So,
I said hot tag True Magoo, whatever the fuck.
Oh,
okay.
Gotcha. So stop the chumps. The 1993 Royal Rumble featured Yokozuna as its winner. How many did Yokozuna eliminate, and who was the last person he eliminated to win the event? That's a good question.
Wait, run that what? How many people did Yokozuna eliminate, and who did he eliminate last?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. I'm fairly confident in saying that Randy Savage was the last elimination.
Randy Savage was the last elimination, and I'm going to go with 7.
Oh, that's pretty high, man.
It's either 5 or 7.
I'm going to go with 6. And I'm also going to say Randy Savage was last eliminated.
Ransom?
I have no idea how many people he eliminated. I'm not even going to take a guess. I have no freaking idea. But yes, he did eliminate Randy Savage. That was the last person he eliminated.
I am on the Tom bandwagon with 6. So, majority rules. We're going to say 6.
Okay.
Answer. Okay, here are some mid-card musings from the Maniac. Beef, you went to Clarion. There's no way your mind moves faster than your mouth. Ouch.
Oh,
nailed it.
Ransom,
what a
Ransom,
no.
if you could pick PPVs as good as your wife picks her fantasy football, you may be able to convince me someday that Michaels is better than Hart. Wow. Holy cow.
Oh, the front door.
Wait.
Never mind, go ahead.
Poot, you can't be champ forever, my friend. And Tom, I have nothing bad to say of the sponsor.
Wait, okay, hold on though. So Midcard Maniac mentioned Terra. So I know Midcard Maniac hasn't revealed his identity yet, but
Getting closer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you have any inklings there, Ransom? Somebody that knows your wife's fantasy football picks?
I'll run this by her after the podcast and see if I can come up with an educated guess. But he's really kind of blowing your spot there if you want to keep your identity a secret.
Yeah,
it's true.
And also,
okay, so
I can be champ forever.
Ooh.
Well,
yeah, that's true.
So far.
Until you get stripped of it for some reason.
November.
Hey, this isn't WWE. We're not having any hook finishes here.
This isn't New Japan. You can't just take it from me because it's raining a little bit.
By the way, Poot, speaking of you being the champ, you were fucking spot on. He eliminated 7 with the last one being Macho Man.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would have been 100% right if you would have trusted your champ.
Hey, I was with you there, buddy. That was Beef's call. He's the worst.
Yep.
So
and
Beef,
there it is. Now we're right back to normal. We started off with Ransom actually giving Beef a regular, nice introduction, and then now we're back to shitting on Beef.
Well, you ruined it, Dan. You ruined it.
maybe Poot is the catalyst here. Like maybe Poot brings out the Ransom and Ransom.
You know what? I think it's because the universe has to balance itself. Beef, you have told me numerous times that you're one of the nicest guys I know. And, I'm here, I'm being nice. Ransom's like, shit, I got to balance this out.
Yep.
Yeah, Poot, you and I have to bring balance to the force, and we can only do that together.
We can. But just remember, I have the belt and the high ground.
Hey, look, I'm not going against you here, buddy. I'm talking about bringing balance. I don't challenge the champ.
That is that. Thank you very much. What an
I'm the advocate.
All right.
That's right.
Let's get
listen, for the hot tag trivels, there, Beefaroni.
Hot tag trivels.
I'm in.
Have I asked you about the Nation of Domination in any of our hot tag trivias? I can't remember anymore.
Wow.
What questions I've asked.
Not that I'm remembering.
Somebody has mentioned the nations somewhere, I think, but I don't know. Maybe.
All right. Well, if I haven't asked Beef anything about them, I'm going to ask him now. Beef, short and sweet. Name me every member of the Nation of Domination.
Are we including the White Rappers, and can I just call them the White Rappers?
We are including them, and you'll get half a point if you can't name their names.
Okay.
I'll take team name. I'll take duo name or individual names.
Gotcha. So give me a hot minute on that. Harvey Whippleman, I think. No. Was it Harvey? Who was the first fucking manager? It may have been Harvey Whippleman. Let me circle back around to that. But the guy who put it all together. Farouk. Let me do the easy ones first. Farouk, Owen Hart, The Rock, D'Lo Brown, The Godfather, Mark Henry. who is, because the Nation wasn't necessarily a black thing before, so I think it was Harvey Whippleman who put it together, and he had those two white rappers, and I don't remember their name, and gosh, oh man, I don't know their names, and then I think. Was Savio Vega a part of it? I think so. I think Savio Vega was a part of it because I think that's where the whole that whole warfare thing happened. Yeah, because and I think that Crush was a part of it. So I think the initial three were Farouk, Crush, and Savio Vega. And then Savio Vega, and so then it became kind of I don't want to say a racial thing, but it more or less was the Nation of Domination became kind of an African American thing, and then Los Barricos became the Spanish thing, and then DOA became the white hardcore
power.
White guy thing, white ex-con thing. So that's my answer. Yeah, exactly. So that's my answer. Harvey. Had the stable initially as the manager with the two white guy rappers, Farouk, Crush, Savio Vega, and then The Rock, Owen Hart, D'Lo Brown, The Godfather, Mark Henry, and that's it.
Did you say Ahmed Johnson?
Fuck, I did not.
And
oh man,
the two white guy rappers, that was PG-13.
PG-13. Yeah,
that was their duo. And you are wrong on one. Would have had a perfect score if you'd not missed Ahmed Johnson, and it wasn't Harvey Whippleman, it was Clarence Mason.
Clarence Mason.
And he's black.
He is black. You're all right.
All right, ransom out.
That was a good one. All right, Tiger.
Yep, that's me.
Uppercut.
Go ahead.
Wow. Just fall.
Man,
slow to
he's
the ground.
salty. You okay, Tom?
Oh no, it was a bad evening.
I'm sorry, buddy. Here, ghost hug. You can't feel it, but it's there, buddy.
That's what she said.
Okay.
Sexual baby.
So,
all right, go ahead.
So we've talked ad nauseum about the draft tonight, and the good and most of the bad of it. Let's talk the draft history. I want you to tell me the first number one overall selection. And I want you to name number two, because they're technically both number one to each show. And by the way, it was in 2002. From State
I know.
College, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. I know. It was in State College in Pennsylvania because you took my question. So, literally.
Well, that's the hell.
Yeah. So The Rock was the first overall. So you're welcome.
He sure fucking was. Wow, that's awesome.
Well,
That's awesome.
Now I have no question for hot tag trivia. So, fucking, I don't know.
He's so salty and so pissed
I think
off.
that's super duper bonus points to beef for usurping Tiger Mom Tom's question.
I
seriously, I have nothing now.
I think that's super duper for both of you. You're such good friends. You think so much alike. You think so much alike.
I wouldn't go that far.
So let's let Tom think of another one if he can, while Poot asks his question to me.
Yes. Okay. So I walked in on a talk of the man who loves his bubbly, Chris Jericho, and got a little excited over the bubbly, didn't you?
Yeah. It bubbled over.
But back in the day, in the early part of his career, he was part of a tag team with one Lance Storm. What was their tag team name?
Oh my gosh!
And it's ironic having it be Lance Storm. It's a very ironic
super
name.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Was that independent or was that ECW?
That was when they were on the Independents.
Yeah, this may have been even been like Stampede.
This was Stampede, like Canada, a little bit into North America, but this is when they were on the Indies. Lance Storm and Jericho actually made their name together, and then Jericho kind of blossomed. Not that Storm didn't; he had a great career.
Listen,
but
Lance Storm has had a great career, and he runs a wonderful wrestling school, which we have to thank him for. The champ, the Jackson Argos. So.
Yeah, man.
Oh, do we
dude.
really?
Oh yeah,
Yep.
Jackson
Yeah,
Argos
man.
trained there.
Him
Yeah.
and RC Dupree are both graduates of the Storm Wrestling Academy.
Yep.
Who was the second guy?
RC Dupree.
RC Dupree. Both of them are Team Storm. So
Really?
Yep.
yeah, man.
No, I did not know that in the slightest.
Yeah,
Well, good for
Argos.
Lance Storm.
Argos has been wrestling for what? Literally 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. All right, so Jericho, Storm. I feel like I know it, but Lord help me, I don't know if I'll be able to think of it. What did you say, Beef?
Huh?
What comment did you make?
That it was in Stampede.
No. Oh, shoot. No.
I didn't drop a clue if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I
He
was
did
hoping
not.
he would have.
He did not.
Poopsmith.
Because I'm only marginally sure. Because it's been a while since I've read A Lion's Tale.
Oh, that's right. It was in there, wasn't it?
Yep. Which I think may have been the best book, even better than the Foley books.
Trying to think back to that book now. Damn it. Thrill Seekers.
There it was.
That's it.
There you go. Good job, dude. Where'd you pull that out of?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think back to Jericho's book.
There you go. Thrill Seekers, man. Which I always thought was hilarious, given that Lance Storm needs to be so serious.
If I could be serious for a moment.
I love that gimmick, man. I love Lance Storm. Like, he's so good.
Tom, do you have a question for Poots or?
Nope. I don't.
Oh my!
No.
Beef, you DQ'd him. That was a ref stoppage right there.
You're the worst, Beef.
Well, I'm sorry,
God
everybody.
damn it.
So listen,
that bummed me out.
Speaking of the worst, I have a. No, I really can't. I can't do it. I can't even do it.
What's
There
that?
was nothing bad about the IWC event that we went to over the weekend. IWC Clearfield 10. Holy crap. If there was ever an independent wrestling show to see as my first independent wrestling show ever, I am so glad that was it. I cannot think of one bad thing about that event.
Dude.
It was amazing, and it blew past any expectation I had set in my mind for it.
I that really gives me the warm and fuzzies to hear, man, because we were sitting down front in the one corner, and I was sitting on the far end, then it was Tom, Beef,
Yep.
and then Ransom there, and so I didn't really get to gauge your reactions, Ransom, but Tom, I'll tell you what. Tom, you were on fire, man. You were on point with like the picture opportunities, high-fiving all the wrestlers, the chants. You were timing out the chants. Like you guys, it was so much fun to be there. After how many years since I've seen an indie show? It's been what?
What was the last
probably
indie show that you and Beef saw?
Oh my God, it was
Not
in
together, but just
Altoona at the Armory.
Oh wow, that long ago, like KCW.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
The last indie show I saw was KCW's last show. No, I lied. It was the KCW reunion show for an organization called The Power, which lasted, I think, all of like 3 shows over in Altoona, which like brought back KCW wrestlers as heels. So like Seabass and Kato and Xander Graves and Dave Daniels
Bobby
were all
Shields.
there. No, just
Shields was
those
there.
4 really were like. No, not well. This was after the reunion show. This was like the second show after.
Okay.
So they were like the invading heels that would like kick everybody's asses. But it's been a hot minute because Brittany and I went there on one of our anniversaries. So it's been a hot minute.
oh my gosh, every single match. Oh, excuse me. And regardless of what you would say about, sure, there were some times where you could, see a missed connection here or there, Maybe that was because it was an independent show. Maybe it was because they were young wrestlers. Maybe because we were up front and close, and you could meld the wrestlers. I really don't care. It was by far the most sports entertained I have been in probably decades. By the intermission, I had to go out to the car and get ibuprofen. I was screaming so hard, I screamed myself into a headache.
Yep.
Wow.
I feel you on that one because by the end of the show I was hurting, man. So next note to self, I think even for this next Wednesday, is it all? Wow, this is next week
Next
already.
Wednesday,
Yeah, man. Next Wednesday.
Oh yeah. By the way, let me know if and when you happen to get those out in the mail, Pooh, because I have a bad habit of not checking my mail for like a week at a time. So
I will. Okay, well,
if you're able to, if not,
well, it's gonna be. I'm probably gonna have to send them Thursday.
Okay.
So or send it Thursday. That's discussion for another time.
Yeah, we'll discuss that. But anyways, what my point was that I'm definitely bringing some Excedrin with me.
You have to
for the AEW show because I imagine I'm going to be screaming. I have not I've gone to some Raw shows and I've gone to SmackDown and stuff like in over the last couple of years. I think the last WWE show I went to was Extreme Rules last summer here in Pittsburgh, and even then I did not have a headache by the end of the night from screaming so hard. Like my voice might have been a little shot, but even whenever the Penguins won the Stanley Cup that night, the last time that they won it, and who was it? Nashville we played against, and they opened up Console Energy Center and they had like a viewing party inside, so you were like watching the game inside the arena, but they had like up on the big Jumbotron area in the middle. And it felt like a real big game atmosphere, too. It felt like they were playing at home. I never screamed so hard as I did at the IWC show where I screamed myself into a headache like Ransom did. So, yeah, I feel you, man. And I loved every second of it.
Were you guys...
Every single second.
Were you guys as hoarse as I was the next day?
I sounded like Randy Savage the next day.
My voice was cracking all over the place. Yeah,
I was surprised. Well, you know what? Be the judge of it because I did that. I did that thing here for the P3 podcast Sunday morning, and I managed to get through it. So
as a veteran of indie shows, and this is kind of
oh god, fucking flexing beef. God damn it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is kind of like. Honestly, this is kind of like my jam. Like, even if I'm not at an indie show, I have gone out of my way to see many an indie show, be it Ring of Honor, be it PWG, whatever, because I know, you're going to see some top-notch shit. So here's what I love about IWC, and here's what I loved about that particular show.
It's such good shit.
They didn't feel the need to overbook and bring in some ex-WWE guy. Now IWC in a couple weeks here in Elizabeth, winner takes all, is having Rhino there, but he's part of an ongoing storyline where he was actually with Team Storm. So Team Storm was originally Argos, RC Dupree, Jake Pollock, and Jake Pollock turned on them. Hence why he was the special guest referee in the high-stakes title match with RC Dupree and Hardcore Hooven, because Pollock actually turned on them and cost RC Dupree the title just before he was about to be the longest reigning champion.
Oh wow!
So Rhino was brought in to replace him, and I think by the end of the night, at an Unbreakable, he ended up turning on Argos, which then now it's Argos versus Rhino, and I think it's a Falls Count Anywhere match. So there are guys who are past their prime, and I don't think Rhino is one of those guys. I think Rhino can still go, so I got no problem with it. So you'll see a lot of indie shows out there, and you'll see a lot of heads that are coming in from the Four Winds. Guys that are legends, for example, the Rock and Roll Express, and who are pretty much past their prime but still looking for a paycheck. Guys who you've seen on the National Syndicate that maybe you want to see up close and personal, and more times than not, they're pretty much going to be a disappointment. Again, speaking from experience. And then, you'll see guys that are, newer guys. And trust me when I say that most of the talent that comes in to these shows are going to charge you money for pictures, for autographs, whatever. Forget them, man. Like, go talk to the guys who are busting their ass night in, night out for that independent company. Buy their merch and support them, because these guys who are all over the place, be it like bigger local indie, or like be it bigger indie talents, or be it guys who have already had their spotlight, like, and I get it. Like, you want to support those guys too. That's cool. But like, these dudes who are busting their ass to make the show awesome. And again, I'll use Argos as a wonderful example. Dude made time for us twice during the match, during the night, at the intermission and at the end of the night, to have chats with us, to talk to us as a wrestler, but also I think kind of as a fan, And then, obviously to take his picture with us, as seen on our Facebook page and on the Instagram. With like, he didn't ask for any fucking money. He didn't ask us to buy his shirts or anything.
Nope.
He just was like, yeah, man, I'll, let's do it. Let's make it. And then he was like, no, man, let's bring in RC for this next one. So, just guys like that bust their ass to make these shows amazing. And that's why indie wrestling rocks.
And not only intermission did one of our guys get a picture taken, with a wrestler, but in the middle of the opening battle royal.
Yes. Lebanon Dawn.
Lebanon Dawn came and sat down at one of the chairs at ringside instead of participating in the battle royal as his character would. Sat there, and it was right in front of us. I mean, he sat in a chair in the corner where we were at on that corner, and Tom gets up out of his chair and leans over and goes, "Hey, do you mind if I get a picture?" And he goes, "Yeah, man, love a picture." He took a picture with one of our guys in the middle of the battle royal that he was in. How freaking awesome is that?
He worked.
It was actually me and Tom.
Yeah, how awesome is that? That, holy crap! Yeah, I can go on and on and on about how awesome this event was, and how awesome these wrestlers are.
And then going around and trying to get pictures with some of the wrestlers that I did. Andrew Palace, he was cool. He started following me now on Instagram, I believe. I got, what's his name? I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Xander, the guy that had the
Gabriel.
Thank you. Yes, Xander Gabriel. I was flaking on the last name there. Xander Gabriel, the one with all the cool gamer tattoos and stuff like that.
Dude, he was.
He was awesome.
I went up and I told him, I was like, dude, I gotta tell you, love your tattoo. Like I said, love your work, but man, your tattoos are badass. We were sitting there and we were like trying to pick him out as the match was going on, and he was like, "Oh yeah, man, did you see the 007 on my ribs?" And I was like,
"Yep."
Yeah, like we were. It was really. We were
cool. Geeking out.
Like,
oh yeah, we were definitely geeking out. And then a couple of them asked me, who was it? It was one of the guys that was in the tag match with the one against Xander Gabriel and Bulk Nasty. One of the other two dudes. Yeah, steak and eggs. But one of the other two guys. I went up and just said, hey, shook his. I was like, hey, just wanted to say great work out there. And then he immediately he pressed me. He's like, so what's this Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast? And I was like, oh yeah, man, me and my buddies, we do a wrestling podcast together, and just kind of talk about the world of wrestling. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, what platform are you on or anything? And I was like, oh, here you go. Brace yourself, like a fucking plethora of platforms. But that was really cool to have some of them engage us and ask us about it. Like, and then I got to say, I was excited to see Neon Ninja Facade. And even though he got my name wrong, he remembered who I was, but he's like, is it Matt? And I was like, no, Tom. He's like, sorry, CTEs will do that to you. And I was like, I understand. It's okay. Oh, wow. But yeah, but I was like, he at least remembered me. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, how have you been? How's the gaming page? I was like, awesome.
Yeah. Do you remember it's hard to remember names enough, let alone the stuff that he did in the ring. Like, how about that springboard Canadian Destroyer?
Oh my god.
I've never seen that before, and I don't think I ever will again.
Oh,
That was and the best, but like it was Argos, right? Like
Mhm.
Argos
Him
took
versus
that
Argos,
like
yeah.
he got number one like a champ, and like he got shot.
yeah.
Like it was
Yep.
so good. Like
Yeah,
Speaking of
but-
in-ring work, and I think Beef or Tom at the beginning, I don't know if it was on the podcast or if it was just when we were talking before, mentioned like not only was the experience, meeting these wrestlers amazing, the event itself amazing, but the in-ring work that they did was amazing. And,
Right.
there were, I think there were some young guys there who are, just started cutting their teeth. I don't know how long they've been doing wrestling, maybe it wasn't, so long, but who was,
Zach Nystrom.
yes. Yeah. Who did he face?
He faced big time
John McChesney.
Yeah.
John McChesney.
John McChesney.
dude,
yes.
that
Who-
was
There
incredible.
was a part in that match where, it was going to be the finish where Big Time gave him a super kick, and that finished him. But the first super kick didn't quite connect. But to give all the credit in the world to Nystrom, it didn't quite connect. So he bounced off the ropes, like it just stunned him a little bit. And then he came back and he took the other one right on the chin.
Yep.
So it wasn't just like an iffy kind of like, oops, maybe it didn't quite connect finish. Like he had enough ring awareness for as young as this kid was. He has enough ring awareness to go, oh, it didn't quite connect, bounced off the rope and took another one.
Yeah.
So like these guys are on point. They are really nailing their work
Well,
in the ring.
And that's the cool thing to see at indie shows. You see the work rate of these guys because they know that to get noticed and to actually make a career of it. You know what I mean? My thing that I would love to find out, how many of those guys right now currently are, quote unquote, and I don't mean to use this derogatorily, like weekend warriors, because they're going, okay, I want to do this. Let's get into it. Let's work shows on the weekends, work a day job during the week, and support myself any way I can. From like said in the musician world, the starving artist lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure some of them have to, because I'm sure the once a month shows that they do with IWC aren't paying all the bills.
Well, no. Of
So
course.
I'm sure there has to be quite a few.
Well, it's not even just the once a month shows like for ICW, but like working various other
IWC.
territories. You know what I mean? Or
Right.
IWC. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, because I mean, you got guys like Neon Ninja Facade. He's been doing some work. Even whenever I had him as a client, he had told me he's like I had a tryout with NXT. I don't think he he got signed or anything, but he was doing some work with Ring of Honor and stuff like that. I think he came back for this show because it was the anniversary or whatever. I've also been seeing some stuff, and I'll have to see if I can find it real quick.
Are you
I've been
talking-
seeing. Go ahead,
Tom.
I was gonna say, as far as Facade is concerned, I've been seeing some stuff about like some AEW graffiti
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah,
so-
man, I think he might be working AEW Dark next week. That'd be awesome to see.
That'd be super cool.
I mean, Poot, to your point, I don't know if you said it, Rance, I'm sorry, but I worked with Seabass for 6-7 years. Him and I were both substitute teachers, so like I can attest. He was basically in a different town every single Saturday, and I got to tag along with him on a couple of them, and kind of be his like riding buddy,
Yeah.
and like live the lifestyle vicariously. It's interesting to say the least. But yeah, we like he's for sure a weekend warrior, and I know Kato, is another one that has like an actual job on top of doing sparse now indie performances, but he also runs Imagine Wrestling, which you should go out and see as well, because Imagine, I think Imagine is cheaper than IWC. Oh, by the way, and they have a lot of the same guys. Like you'll see Mandime, Elijah Dean there. You'll see the main event, who are the IWC Tag Team Champions. You'll see them as part of Imagine. You'll
Dude.
see Spencer Slade as part of Imagine. So like they're
How good was Mandime?
Oh,
dude,
awesome.
on point, like just so good. Like, and that's the thing. Like,
to me, it's what Joey
IWC
Ryan should be.
Exactly.
Like, seriously. Like, it's to me, it feels like a more polished Joey Ryan. And I'm not trying to say like, oh, he's like Joey Ryan, but I'm saying he's better. He has it together. Like, the gimmick just feels complete.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought Mandime's gimmick was awesome.
Yep.
We were the only ones chanting Mandime, and everybody was getting pissed. We were chanting.
Oh, absolutely. I loved it. I loved just in ring everything, all that aside, the experience itself, just getting there, just getting to be there and having such a great time. With three best friends and stuff like that. That was it for me. I could have cared less if the in ring work like sucked terribly or anything like that. I was just having fun that night regardless.
It really was. It was super duper on point. The whole freaking event was super on point. And Kato seems like one of those, like, I don't know the man, but he seems like one of those dudes where I just want to hang out with him.
Yeah.
Like, I want to hang out with him. I want to listen to stories.
Dude, you want to talk about a mind for the business? You want to talk about a mind for the business? I guarantee you he has so many great stories of guys that he's met, guys that he's not a fan of, guys that he loves. Like, he is a super smart worker too.
Yeah.
Him and I will get into it occasionally, or have on pay-per-views past, because he's one of my friends on Facebook, and like,
oh boy,
we'll talk about pay-per-views on the same the same thread. He sees the business as far as like the business aspect, so he sees it more as like the promoter booker kind of Vince McMahon goggles, whereas I see it primarily as a smart mark fan. So like, our ideas aren't always aligning, but it's fun to be able to kind of pick his brain and kind of hear what he has to say, because he's an awesome guy. And honestly, down the line, I would love to get some of these guys on our podcast just to kind of talk about and hear some stories. I don't even care about plugging numbers, because, we are what we are. I love our fans, and I'm glad that you listen. And please share the hell out of our podcast, get more ears on us. But at the end of the day, like, if nothing else, I'd love just to talk with some of these guys, with you guys, and to be able to experience that,
Oh, no doubt. Not S and any D's here. This is genuine honesty. I would be super geeked out over the moon to have any of these guys on, and just to like, I don't even need to talk during the podcast. I just want to listen to them tell stories of their experiences, the trainings they've gone through, what they did to work themselves into wrestling, how they got into it, just what the learning experience is. 'Cause I don't know any of that, side of things. And I think these guys would be wealths of knowledge to be able to talk about, like what it's like to go, hey, you know what? I want to try and do wrestling, and to get into it cold and have to learn how to take bumps and to, just do all the different ins and outs that professional wrestlers have to do. I would love to listen to stories that Absolutely. These guys could tell. And I bet that they would be super entertaining stories just to sit back and listen to.
Oh yeah. Well, hey,
sure.
So being that I was the salty one all night, not to rain on anybody's parade, but I do know that we usually kind of have a little curfew for ourselves, and it's kind of getting to be about the witching hour for us. So does anybody want to have anything else to add about the IWC show? And then who wants to thank the sponsors?
Wrap it up.
Look, I just want to thank Sean, not as a sponsor of the show, but I really want to thank him for putting on, helping to put on an amazing event, and something that really helped to turn me on to independent wrestling and to really light that fire to want to go and see more IWC shows, want to go see an Imagine show.
Agreed.
I think if it hadn't have been for Sean, I probably wouldn't have known about this event. I probably wouldn't have gone to this event. And I want to give him a big thank you, because it was super entertaining, and it opened up my eyes to a completely different world of wrestling that is so much more entertaining than the garbage that seems to be, put on TV on a weekly basis.
Yep.
And I wanted to say as well for Sean, thank you for the stars that were on our VIP chairs that said Pittsburgh Piledriver, or Piledriver
awesome.
Podcast.
Yep.
Like, that was a really cool touch. But really quick, highlight moment of the night really fast from each of us, and then we'll thank sponsors and go home. Tom?
Facade versus Argos. I loved it. I mean, there's so many I could pick, but that one stuck out to me. Like Facade doing the flip over and like basically like just smacking right off the guardrail too. Though I was like, oh my god, don't die.
There were no mats.
Exactly, but yeah, that was. I'd have to say it was close between that and then whenever during the Clearfield street fight, whenever they got dumped out, literally right in our laps over the railing. That was cool. That was awesome.
Beef.
So I'm not gonna lie, I'm definitely a mark for Jackson Argos now, and I hope that the hashtag era of Argos goes on forever. But so getting our picture with him, I think was super fucking cool, and something that will kind of stick in my mind. But honestly, to me, to see two guys who I really started my indie career of viewing with was seeing Seabass and Kato. Like Seabass is the reason I started going to indie shows, and Kato was the reason I kept going. So to see those two kind of, I don't want to say finish their career because you never know, but I mean, kind of bring it full circle and really be super over in front of the crowd like that. And then at the end, Kato had that crowbar. Was like, I got a crowbar. I
Hooray!
Hooray!
For me, I would say that it would be the Clearfield street fight match. I thought the match itself was a 5-star match. I thought it was amazing, but I loved at the end where you got all the different wrestlers to come out, the different factions, the different sides. They all kind of got involved, and look, I'm a happy ending kind of guy myself. I love a happy ending to a story, and to see those guys get in the ring at the end and just kind of, be appreciative of the time and effort that everybody put into the show, and the series of fans that have never missed an IWC show in Clearfield. Just to see that kind of warm and fuzzy in the ring, it really put a really nice bow on the night, and I went home with a warm and fuzzy feeling, wanting to see a hell of a lot more.
For me, it was definitely the Argos picture and how awesome like he was and how awesome Dupree was as well, and also Argos's lady friend.
Can I?
RC Dupree's lady friend.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay. Well, I gotta interject something real quick with the Argos picture, and the one at least. I got to actually have my arm like up on the title on his shoulder, so I was kind of geeked about that. But go on.
So like how like that they were trying to keep kayfabe, like the way they were talking about like the match with Ryder, like it's just like the touches, like he said, man, we're immediate fans of you, and then he goes, I'm a fan of me too. Like like that kind of thing. But then the other thing that I really like that just sticks out in my mind, even though it was early on in the show and everything, I absolutely love Mambo Italiano. I absolutely
what a great gimmick.
I loved Mambo Italiano and like the pomp and circumstance of the Italian flags that he came out to the actual song Mambo Italiano. Like, I dug it. I just thought it was great. It was full of character and personality. I really liked it.
Yeah, spot on, 110%. What an amazing event.
Yes.
It really was. There wasn't anything that I would change about it. There wasn't any. I don't have one bad thing to say about it. I'm critical of watching wrestling because I'm very jaded at this point by all the disappointments that I've seen. But not a single bad thing to say about this event. Not kissing ass. It's complete honesty. Not one freaking bad thing. Beef, you usually, keyword there, bold, italicized, and underlined, usually do a great job of thanking the sponsors. So why don't you go ahead and wrap it up?
I appreciate that. That's what I appreciate about you, Ransom. So first of all,
is that what you apprient about him?
Easy.
That's not the only thing, but there are many things. Before
but
yeah, right. But before we get into the thanking of the sponsors, I will give a little bit more love to IWC and tell you all that there is an IWC show coming to you live in Elizabeth, PA, which is their kind of
plug
home.
that shit.
November 2nd, bell time 7 p.m. Winner takes all, and that was currently is Jackson Argos versus Rhino. IWC World Heavyweight Title Extreme Rules. Impact Wrestling superstar and IWC alum Brian Cage versus the Spasmanian Devil Andrew Palace. The main event, which is an awesome tag team, by the way, which you guys haven't even seen, so I'm excited for that. The main event versus the North. The North, I believe, are the Impact Tag Team Champions, and the main event being the IWC Tag Team Champions. And also signed as the grudge match between R.C. Dupree versus Jack Pollock, with Pollock costing him the now twice costing him the high stakes title. That'll be a good affair as well. So and then as well as your normal IWC favorites there. Again, that's Saturday, November 2nd in Elizabeth, PA. Winner takes all. Check them out. And like I said, I'm not going to call them a sponsor because they have not approached us at all, but I will plug the hell out of them because they are a wonderful company. Yes, we definitely want to thank and Ransom. You did a great job of thanking Sean. So yeah, we're the boys are so appreciative for everything you've done for us, Mr. Tischler, and everything you've done for the community up there in Clearfield, PA, with keeping the brand strong with IWC, and
he's good. People.
Bringing in he's great people. He's very down to earth, and I'm sure that him being involved got guys like Kato and Seabass on the card. I have no doubt in my mind. So thank you, from the bottom of our heart, Sean, for everything that for any and everything and anything that you do for us, and definitely thank you so much for putting on a wonderful show. And like I said earlier, keep your eyes and ears tuned to our podcast, as we will keep the IWC Clearfield information flowing to you as we get it. And then we definitely also want to thank Mr. Casual Gaming Dad himself, Tiger Bomb Tom over there, and wish him luck in the Retro Gaming League. I know he did pretty well last year, so we're hoping for a repeat and go win one for the Gipper, as they say.
So look, hey, I'm going to do something that I don't normally do, which is close out the show, because I'm probably not going to be this chipper again or this positive until after the next IWC or Imagine or Independent show that we go to. So in light of usually berating the people that listen to this show, I'm not going to do that. We're going to close it out on a high note. Ready for this ounce of positivity?
Yep.
It's an ounce, so don't get excited. For Tiger Bomb Tom, for Beef the Legend, for the reigning, defending, undisputed, forever Cruiserweight champion, Poot the Bard, myself, the one-time positive Alec Ransom. Thank you, people, for listening to the show. If you do, we appreciate it. Good night.